for a new world order.
Those are the roots of trouble.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition. It is Friday, June 27th, 2014. Joining me tonight is a guest who's already been on once before, but he came on with his co-host, the two of them, Chaos and Mayhem, I like to call them. They're a double act. Okay, but tonight he's hanging out with me solo. My good friend and co-host of the Johnny English Show with my good friend Johnny English, Nick. Nick, welcome back, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Popeye.
It's going to be Scattergories Friday here on DTRH.
Yeah, we're going to go all over the place. And this is what I was known for back in the days when we did uncensored radio. We'd just get talking about something, and I'd bring something up that'd lead to another 2 hours of conversation.
Well, I want to give you credit because it's, I was trying to think of a title. I always put up a title for the broadcast, like advertising it, which then later ends up usually becoming the title in the archive. And you're the one that came up with the idea of Scattergories Friday because there's a ton of different things. So kudos to you. I like that. I should actually think I'm going to steal that and turn that into
run with it.
Yes, I'm going to run with it, Nick.
Yeah.
As they say, we'll run with it. So where shall we start? Should we start with something insane? Should we start with, I know we're going to get into the paranormal a little bit. Should we, let's start off light, maybe somewhat humorous, and then we'll get into the dark stuff?
Yeah.
How about that? Okay, I got one for you. How about the EPA employees in Denver, Colorado being told not to defecate in the hallways of the EPA building? Yes.
I've defecated in the hallways at high school, but I don't think I'd do it at a paid job.
Apparently, they had to send a memo out telling them to stop clogging the toilets with paper towels, and somebody is literally taking human feces and piling it up in the hallways. And they went and they talked to a consultant, and the guy's a workplace violence expert named John Nicoletti, and he said that the hallway feces is, in fact, obviously it's a health risk, but he says it's a health and safety risk, and he added that the behavior was very dangerous, and the individuals responsible would probably escalate their actions. Where do you go from leaving piles of crap in the hallway at your job? Like, what's next?
Picking it up and smearing it?
Wow. Wow. This is the government hard at work. The EPA who goes and fines people for collecting rainwater on their properties.
Yeah. they're crapping in the hallways. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about your problem with collecting rainwater.
Yeah, exactly. Don't talk about the psychosis of our employees that we have at a building where, you're paid, a highly paid, I may add, government, whatever, agent, bureaucrat, whatever you want to call yourself. You're not really an agent. You're a bureaucrat, but still, you're highly paid. I think we're all adults, right? I think back when we were like 5, we figured out not to carry feces down the hallway, guys. Wow. Just I saw this in the Daily Sheeple today, and I was like, this has got to... Are they sure this isn't a parody article? But no, it's the real deal.
It almost seems like it could be an Onion article.
Dude, I'm going to tell you what. Sometimes real life is really hard to distinguish from the parody.
Yeah. When I got out of high school, I took up a job sandblasting, and we did a lot of work with some gentlemen from south of the border. And I guess down in Mexico, the water treatment plants can't handle toilet paper and stuff like that, so they'd wipe and just launch it onto the floor of the bathrooms. So I wonder maybe if that's what's happening here. Or maybe there's actually piles.
Dude, I don't know. I'm disgusted. Honestly, like, I mean, it's kind of funny to talk about, but like, really? Like, this is, like, do we need any more examples of the waste of government funds? Seriously. We need bigger government. What, so more people can run around the hallways, crapping in the hallways and stuff? We can hire more mentally challenged people that obviously need some level of help. Fun with feces, huh? Ugh. I thought that was a stage kids went through.
Apparently not. Have you ever seen Steve O's work?
Yeah, his work. I like the way you say that. His work.
I'm a big fan.
I've met him in real life.
Yeah.
Epic douchebag.
I've met him too. Him and Ryan Dunn and Preston, they all had like a comedy tour, and they come up here to Iowa one time. And
if you put them all, like, hooked them all up to a generator and tried to siphon out their brain power and turn it into electricity, you wouldn't have enough to make toast.
No, I don't think you could keep an LED lit.
Dude, it's like the years I ran a tattoo shop, I met a lot of these famous people because the area it was in was South Beach, and it was the oldest shop in Miami, so it was very well known and popular, and a lot of people came in over the years and stuff. And I met him in real life, and you want to talk about just a waste of complete space. Seriously. Like, talking to him, it was like, I look people in the eyes when I talk to him, and I looked him in the eyes, you could just see it was like nothing. I don't care if anybody says, oh, I know him, he's a great guy, that's great.
No one's home, leave him a message.
Exactly. Just nothing that Steve-O's work.
Didn't they do a lot of filming down there in the early episodes of Jackass?
They filmed a lot of the Jackass, the movie down here.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, they got tattooed. He got his butt cheeks pierced in the first one. It's in the they show it. I don't know if it was in the. I know it was in the end credits and some of the deleted scenes or whatnot. But if you get the DVD, you'll see where he gets his ass cheeks pierced together.
Yeah.
That was a friend of mine who did that. That was actually at the shop that I learned how to pierce at years and years ago when I first got into tattooing. It was owned by the same company that ran that owned the shop that I ran a couple blocks away. But yeah, he got his ass cheeks pierced there, and then he got Bam Margera's symbol for his clothing line with a penis coming out of the top of it, tattooed on his chest there by my friend. My friend actually designed the tattoo. He told him what he wanted, and he drew it for me. He's like, is this what you want? He's like, that's awesome. Yeah, let's tattoo it.
Yeah, dude.
And they did it. He's like, I don't care. It's for the movie. It's awesome. And the whole time I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to do that stupid shit. You could not pay me enough to do that to myself. People are so very, very, very vapid, useless individual. I don't know. There's just nothing there. I don't like to bash people, but I've actually gotten a chance to interact with him, and it's like, if you put Steve-O's head up to your ear, you hear the ocean like a conch shell. So,
trains left the station, huh?
Yeah, a while ago. A few weeks back, just nobody informed them. Oh.
I wonder if they're all like that.
You know, they pretty much are to a certain degree. They're not really. The only one that was actually somewhat of a decent human being was Chris Pontius, the one they call Party Boy, the guy that runs around in his underwear dancing around. Yeah, he's the only one, and he was actually somewhat normal. Like he was fully clothed, and he was pretty like he was actually very polite. He was the only one. It's almost like that Party Boy thing is like an alter ego, you know, for entertainment wise, and he's more introverted. But the rest of them are like, whatever. I haven't seen them in years, so you know, who knows? Maybe they finally grew up, but I'm sure
they're all trying to make it some way or somehow. I think Bam's got that family, what do they call that, primetime TV show on TBS.
What?
Yeah.
See, I don't have cable, so I'm completely out of touch. Whatever. If you can't stream it illegally, I don't know about it. Yeah. People are like, "Have you seen this show?" No, never heard of it. Never heard of it. I don't watch television. I turned my cable off a long time ago. I only use my internet. That's all I'm willing to pay for. I have an issue paying what we pay for that, but
that's too damn high.
You got that right, dude. And we get the worst. We were talking about this a couple weeks ago. We get the worst internet service too. Like other countries have way faster internet than we do.
Yeah. I remember hearing about this on Hanger.
Yep, they have way faster internet than we do. Like that's insane. Kev Baker's got some ridiculous speeds. They're like 300 down and 100 up or something like that. I mean, he could download
the internet in an hour.
Dude, literally. He's just like, Kev, what would you like? The whole thing. Click.
What would you like? And he gets all like 80s supervillain on you. Everything. All of the internet. He takes off riding on his dirt bike with the handlebar, you know, the guards that go in front of your hands like an 80s supervillain.
Oh my God. The Enduros.
Yeah.
The dirt bikes you could take on the street because they were street legal.
Yeah, because they had a headlight and turn signals and a brake light.
The badass in Karate Kid, the blonde kid, didn't he ride one of those? Him and his buddies?
Yeah. But that ass in was that Pet Cemetery? We all seen how he ended up riding a street legal dirt bike.
What's his name? Eddie Furlong? Or whatever his name is. He was the one that later on went to be Terminator. Wow, can you say we're aging ourselves by all the movie references?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that kid in Terminator, he had a street legal dirt bike too.
Yeah. Except Schwarzenegger wrote it better. Oh no, Schwarzenegger was riding. Didn't he jump off a bridge in that movie with like a Harley or something?
Yeah. He drove the Harley off the side of the bridge, and yeah.
I had a Harley, and don't get me wrong, I loved my Harley, and I miss my motorcycle like you would not believe. But Harleys cannot withstand going off of a bridge and landing like that. They're lucky if they don't rattle themselves apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of Harleys up here in Iowa, and I'll sit next to them at a stoplight. And it's just sitting there idling, vibrating all around. I mean, the engine looks like it's going to snap off the bike. Is there something wrong with that, or is it supposed to run like that, man? I mean, the guy is shaking his cigarettes, ashing itself.
You know, my Harley had. Now the newer ones have like these newer engine mounts that they actually dampen the vibrations. And I had them installed on my bike, but even still, dude, no, you're right, because a Harley is you can spot a Harley in a crowd, because the Harley is the one that comes up and it's like go 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 go. It sounds like it's about to stall out while you're sitting at a light.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes they'll rev them so it doesn't stall out.
Yeah, you can always hear them at the stoplight. I mean, the way they drive them up here. Like, you could go a city block, and these guys think that they have to take it up to 9,000 RPM in a city block. They don't slow down for the next light.
Because they don't want it to stall out when they get to the next light. That's why. You can always tell a Harley when a guy pulls up to a light without even looking. If you hear a motorcycle pull up next to you at a light, and you hear it stall out, and you hear and then you hear the guy starting it over, you're like, it's a Harley.
My neighbor's got a 1964 hardtail, and he called me over one day and goes, "Hey, can you try to kickstart this?" He's getting up there in age, and I tried kickstarting, and I think I about broke my leg. I'm 6'7", 300 pounds. Wow, this thing had some compression.
Just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I see what the people are talking about. Like, that Kickstarter can come back and mess you up pretty good, I guess.
Oh, yeah, dude. You got to be careful. That's why honestly, I know it's not good if, if your battery goes out. Kickstart's great for, you can get that thing going anywhere, as long as you have the power to get it going. But I got spoiled with my electric starter. Little push button. Vroom. With a Harley, it was more like vroom. Then it would start. Yeah, with like when it would first warm up, dude, I would have to sit there and rev it for like 30 seconds to a minute. People would be looking, and that's why guys that ride Harleys people always assume, they just think they're badasses or whatnot. No, man, we're trying to make the bike warm up so it doesn't stall out when we're
trying to keep the bike running. That's all.
We're not trying to be tough. We're trying.
The people that think they're badasses are like in Cheech and Chong, when Chong's got the bike in the living room with the exhaust going out the window of the house, and he's just sitting there revving it up in front of the fan. That's badass right there.
Oh man, I miss my bike. I do. Down here it was too dangerous, though, man.
Oh, it's dangerous up here too. 2 people have died this month already from collisions with deer at highway speeds.
A guy that was my uncle's friend that I grew up, I knew him from the time I was a little kid. He died about 10 years ago on his bike up in Jersey. But, between him and then I've had probably 4 or 5 friends down here in the past 8 years get killed. And it's always the same thing because some idiot is not paying attention. And couple it with we don't have helmet laws, so some of them weren't wearing helmets. Look, I understand you want to be free, but common sense has to come in. If you're doing 70 miles an hour and you lay the bike down, you even tap your noodle, you're done. You need a helmet. The helmet takes the brunt of it.
Yeah, I mean, just watching Evel Knievel wreck when they show him in slow motion, just bouncing off the pavement, that'll make you go out and buy a helmet right now.
I'm telling you, one of my really good friends was killed years ago. He was down here. He moved down here from Illinois, and in Illinois they have helmet laws, so he had a helmet, and he always wore his helmet. But down here they don't have helmet laws, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't need to wear a helmet." And he was an experienced rider. He knew what he was doing. He was, he wasn't a novice. He'd been riding for like 10 years at least, so he had a lot of experience, a lot of road under his belt. He got into an accident, and he hit his head on the pavement. And because he hit his head on the pavement, he died because he had it was an aneurysm or embolism, whatever I forget it is, in his head. Mm-hmm. And it was a result of his head smashing into the ground. The sad part is he had a helmet. And he had given one of the helmets he had to his passenger, this chick he was dating at the time. And she survived. She was on the back of the bike. She got injured, pretty bad too. She got broken leg and she got all road rash and everything, and she hit the pavement with her head too, but because she had the helmet on, the helmet protected her head and she only had a concussion. She didn't have any scrapes or scratches to her face or head. Meanwhile, he was dead because his head was smashed into the pavement. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't agree with the government making laws to force you to wear a seatbelt or put a helmet on. I totally concur with, I'm against, the nanny state and everything, but from a rider himself to other riders, you should totally wear helmets, guys. And put leather jackets on and jeans. I know you want to be cool and show your tattoos off and everything else, but look, the hardcore guys, the biker club guys, I know, those guys, even they wear brain buckets. They might not wear a full-size helmet, but those guys, maybe they're wearing sleeveless shirts. I myself would wear a jacket, but at least they're wearing jeans, boots, and a brain bucket. They even know that if their head hits the ground, they might be badasses, but they're not going to survive 70 miles an hour into the macadam. We are just goo, Nick. We are just goo. You know what I'm saying?
Goo is right. I mean, a buddy of mine had a street bike. I think it was like a Hayabusa or something, and he lives down in St. Louis inner city. and he was doing 35 miles an hour. And somebody pulled out in front of him, and he went up and over the hood of the car. And, I mean, he's went through probably 12 reconstructive surgeries of his jaw. It's just, things can happen so fast. You could be the most experienced rider out there and know everything about your bike and know how to ride and this and that, but you can't judge for anybody else. And a guy I knew once told me, don't be a victim. Keep your head on a swivel. I mean, you got to be watching for everybody else as well as yourself out there.
Oh yeah, that's actually one of the first things I went and took. I decided that I wanted to take just to educate myself further and learn. I took a motorcycle safety course a couple years back, and I had already had my motorcycle license, but I wanted to, a lot of people think they know everything, but you'd be surprised what you can learn from other guys. And the guys that ran the course were guys that have been riding for 30, plus years, 20, 30 plus years. And I picked up a lot of stuff from these guys. And it was all stuff that I pretty much, I'd always paid attention and covered my own rear when riding and made sure that I always looked out. But they were just little subtle things that they said, look, this is what we learned over the years, and they passed on that knowledge. You'd be surprised. Really, you'd be surprised what you learn in one of these courses. So, I mean, guys, don't be ashamed. I know a lot of the ego gets in the way for guys. Oh, well, I don't need a course or an instruction manual. I'm a dude, so I automatically know how to ride a motorcycle. That's
been riding my whole life, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Most of the people that get killed on bikes are inexperienced riders or people that have that attitude that they think they know what they're doing, and then they go and ride at like 900 miles an hour on their Hayabusa, or whatever. So, just, I know the ego gets in the way, guys, but seriously, and on a serious note, if never hurts to take a motorcycle safety course for a weekend. It's usually only 2 or 3 day course, like 6-8 hours, and usually the instructors are cool, they're riders, and like our instructors were real badass. We went out and had beers and lunch with them afterwards. On the final day, we took the test and everything, and when they were done, they were like, "Everybody hungry?" We're like, "Yeah, let's go out and get beer." All right, cool, let's go.
On the bikes or in the car?
No, everybody. Well, it's funny because most of the people that, like, when we were there for the class, some of us had taken the bikes, some of us had taken cars, and all the guys that were riding, all the instructors were all riding their bikes. So everybody just converged on this restaurant/bar. And I'm like, aren't you supposed to tell us about not drinking and driving?
You just got done telling you. Be careful on these poker runs, this and that. It's not good to drink and ride. Let's go get beer.
Exactly. How do you spell hypocrite? Do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, yeah. So it's fun. But don't be afraid to look into that, guys. So Scattergories Friday here. I have so many things I want to chat with you about, Nick. I just looked at the timer. We got about 3 minutes before we go to break already. The first segment's already up.
Wow.
Making fun of the EPA and talking about motorcycles. Look at that.
Yeah. That was fun.
You're making me...
and Steve-O. Don't forget Steve-O when you put that in the description.
Oh,
Hashtag Steve-O. Selfie. You know how many hits you're going to get for a hashtag Steve-O?
I'm going to make sure that I write that down, but first, let me take a selfie.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, our culture is going down the tubes. That show Jackass. I'm glad you actually brought that up for a second. That reminds me of, that's like the epitome of what's the name of that movie? Idiocracy.
Is that the Bill Maher movie?
No, he is an idiot though. That's religious. That's what is it called?
Religious.
Yeah, that's what it was. Religious, right? That's what he's another douche.
Yeah.
I would pay to see Bill Maher thrown into a pit with a tiger that hadn't been fed for like 3 weeks.
Well, you might want to fly to Iowa because I think he's coming here to town where Johnny and I live.
Oh, you guys should go see him and make a scene. See if he'll get up and try to throw you guys out like he did the little skinny member of We Are Change LA, I think it was.
Well, Johnny and I had already talked about this. Have you seen that YouTube video where the lady's talking about a train derailment and that guy runs out and grabs the microphone from her and yells F her right in the P?
Oh, yes.
Johnny and I were talking, and I go, how cool would it be if you held the camera and I ran out on stage and just yelled that and ran away?
Yeah, let him try to stop you. Let him
yank the microphone from Bill Maher's hand. Ever right the P. Throw it down. Jump off the stage.
And just run.
Yeah. That'd be the John Wilkes Booth of our time. What he yell afterwards? Death to the tyrants?
Yeah, Sic Semper Tyrannis.
Yeah. I'll yell that when I jump off the stage.
Sic Semper Tyrannis. You know, like I said, I wonder if he'd have the courage to try to grab the mic out of your 6'7" hand.
Yeah, he'd have to get his stool.
Remember,
then I'd be on Jimmy Kimmel apologizing like Gary Oldman.
You know, they got to him. I wonder if it was his attorney or his agent or whoever was like, dude, you're never going to work in this town again. You have to recant your statements. And I don't even think he said anything really that horrible. I mean, he just spoke his mind freely in an interview.
Yeah.
But, Gary Oldman's now, if he doesn't apologize, he'll never be able to be Commissioner Gordon again. Or whatever the hell his new role is going to be.
Well, there it is.
Ugh, PC stuff. Yes, the break is sneaking up on us. Ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. ADL. Keep warning you about them, people. Anti-Defamation League. Them and their buddies APAC. We'll be right back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Before we went to break, Nick and I were discussing, I had made a comment really quick, and we're going to switch gears, but I had made a comment about Jackass reminding me of the movie Idiocracy by Mike Judge, and somebody in the chat said the Oh My Balls show. Yes, that is exactly on the movie. There was a show called Ouch My Balls, and that's it, where it was just a guy getting kicked in the nuts, and that's exactly what Jackass is. I mean, if you watch that movie and then you sit back and have a cup of coffee and look at society, you're going to be like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. And all the smart people I know don't want to have kids because of, you know, the what's going on to the planet or the police state and the CPS and all this other stuff. So a lot of the smart people I know aren't procreating, which means only the dumb people are procreating.
Yeah. Let's have some babies.
Yeah, not good, Nick.
Like I said during the break, the smart people are the ones that are moving out into the woods and sending people packages.
You wonder what made Ted Kaczynski go ape and start hating technology and society.
He did it early off when things were, moderate.
Yeah.
He snapped right away.
He snapped long before he could ever, come on air and say, I'd like to send a mail bomb, but first. Ted Kaczynski starts doing selfie shots. Ugh, just no.
How cool of a parody video would that be with the hood and the aviators?
Okay, listeners, we give you the ideas and you run with it.
Yeah, we'll be like Tosh.0. You send us your videos and we'll put it on the website.
Dude, totally. If people start sending me parody videos, or like if someone makes a meme, because I've done it before where the listeners, I've said something on air and they thought it was hysterically funny and they went and made a meme and put it up on Facebook in like 5-10 minutes. If you guys do that, I'll share it. If you make a parody video, we'll definitely share it. Without a shadow of a doubt. Put the selfie song in the background and have Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski parody video. Selfie.
Oh, the irony.
It's got to be like the chick in the video. Can we go have a cigarette? He's all like, I really want to mail this package, but I live way out in the wood.
Yes, people are like, huh? What is he talking about? Nick's talking about this part of the video right here.
Table, I kept on seeing him look at me while he's with that other girl. Do you think he was just doing that to make me jealous? Because he was totally texting me all.
Right there. That's if you change her up with Ted Kaczynski. I really wanted to mail that package, but do you think they're watching me? Do you think the feds are onto me? Should I go to the post office?
Is this even the right address?
I'm going to mail this, but first, let me take a selfie. Dude, this music video has over 157 million hits. That's the equivalent of half the country watching the video.
Half the country in the world.
I couldn't get 157 million hits to a video exposing the truth about Iraq. I have to say, honestly, one of my videos, the one that's titled "The Video the Pentagon Doesn't Want You to See," actually has well over 1 million hits. So that's good. I'm glad that one's out there. But all the other important information out there has 1,000 hits, 5,000 hits, 10,000 hits, and then this gets 157 million hits. Yeah, exactly.
Say days of the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution are gone.
Exactly.
That crap ain't ever going to happen again. Count on that.
What's construction?
Yeah. There's going to be no more enlightenment. People aren't going to start, focusing on themselves and life and, like they were back then.
I mentioned Thomas Jefferson and Adams. They're sitting there writing the Declaration of Independence, and they're like, you know what? We're all about freedom and human rights and dignity. But first, let me take a selfie. Just ridiculous, dude.
Oh, I'm sure those guys are rolling over in their graves somewhere. And we really didn't think it'd turn out like this.
Right? They're all like, what the hell is wrong with everybody? Why is everybody so apathetic? It's just ridiculous, man. It really is. I in 2014, I guess I'm surprised by now to still find that there are apathetic people out there. I know there are. I know people are still quote unquote asleep, but it's just, man, like what does it take to get you a little bit irritated about what's going on? At what point do you go, okay, that's enough? It just, I don't know. It was enough for me years ago, but now it's to the point where I even have a problem going through the news, dude, on a daily basis, trying to go through it and see what's going on and try to decipher things, because every day I see more and more things that literally make me just sick to my stomach, like the rise in cops shooting dogs. What?
Yeah, let's go there for a little bit.
What the F? Seriously?
Yeah, that's just like on South Park with Cartman. Respect my authority. I'm gonna shoot your dog for no reason, looking for a lost child. Why would you enter someone's backyard looking for a lost child? I mean, I understand that's why you would enter, but still, why would you cap a dog? That if you guys have seen the video of this, the video shows the backyard. The backyard's wide open. All he had to do was just pop the gate open. Oh, there's no lost kids in here. Leave.
First of all, what gives them the right to come onto someone's property and then just willy-nilly shoot their dog? I mean, you're trespassing. Well, I'm a police officer. No. I'm looking for a missing child. But do you have any evidence that he's on my property? Well, no, but we're looking for, I don't care. Do you have any evidence that the child is on my property? No. Then get an effing warrant to come on my property. And they just go on the person's property and then, oh, well, your dog aggressed towards me, so I shot it and killed it. Well, you're in its property. It wants to know who you are, so it's going to come over and see who you are. Well, I don't like dogs. I'm afraid of them. Well, then maybe you should take that uniform off and go home. You should take your little costume off and go home, because you're obviously not manly enough to do the job.
And get you some little spray like the mail carriers have.
Yeah, how come mailmen haven't been whacking dogs for 30 or 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they might have to mace a dog. But first of all, are you that much of a coward that you can't tell if the dog's coming at you to hurt you or not? First of all, you put your hand out. Put your hand down at your side and out a little bit, palm facing outward. You allow the dog to sniff it. If you are insanely, irrationally afraid of the dog, it's going to sense it. Okay? Animals can sense that, and that might throw him off or her off. Okay? Or some dogs might, males especially, sometimes will aggress on that. Or try to show you, if they think that you're showing fear, they might try to show you that they're literally, like what's his name says, the Caesar Milan, they're the pack leader. And literally, they will do that. You have to understand how the animal is. So if you're that much of a coward that you can't handle a dog coming trotting up to you, especially when you just jumped the fence on his property, then you should not be wearing that uniform. You should not have that badge, and you certainly should not have a gun because you're unstable. What would happen if they missed and there was a kid in the house next door, dude, playing, and they shot the kid?
Or they missed and shot the lost child they were looking for.
Yeah, how about that? The lost kid is the one that's, in the backyard one house over, and hears a commotion, sticks his head out, and a bullet comes ripping through his forehead as he sticks his head out from around a corner. Then what?
It's bad enough for this cop already. I really can't say because he's a cop and he's working for the city, and this guy's going to take the cops to court over it. That might not end so well for the guy that takes the cops to court because everything's, crooked, as you know.
Yeah, I don't know how that guy maintained his cool. Like you said, he threw the camera down in the video. For people that don't know what we're talking about, look it up on YouTube. There's video of a guy, I think it was yesterday, the day before. He comes home to find his dog dead in his backyard because a cop was looking for a missing kid. And they just willy-nilly hopped the fence, no warrant, no nothing. Cop just said, I'm going to look in this backyard. And when he hopped the fence, there was a dog there. And the cop said, I feel threatened, pulled his gun out and shot the dog and killed it. And all the cops are sitting out front. The guy's videoing when he comes home, and he's talking to these cops out front. And they're all, sir, here's a case number. They're just being very impersonal, very cold to him. We understand. No, you don't understand. You don't. How would you like if someone came to your house and killed one of your family members? Well, it's very cold to him.
Whoa.
We understand. Uh-oh.
I take it I can't go to the chat room.
No. Oh, I know.
I was going to post on there.
I know why. I'll show you during the break. I'll show you. You can turn it off. The player automatically comes on if you open the chat. That's why you have to be careful.
I learned my lesson.
Yes, I actually, I said it that way for a reason because I used to not have it that way, but then people would, how can I put this gently? The older crowd would
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny, you're listening. The older crowd would have an issue with getting the stream going sometimes with the different options.
I don't hear anything.
My father and other people would be like, I don't know how to use it. And I realized there was mass confusion because there was a bunch of different players. So I just made it so when the chat room opens up, the player automatically kicks on. I should have warned you. That's my fault, Nick.
Oh.
20 lashes in the public square.
Yeah, but first.
Ding, ding, ding. Hold on, let me get the music. Ding, ding, ding. No, I'll get the real stuff. Hold on. First, let Nick take a selfie. Oh my God, yeah. I can't. It's 157 million views, but information about what's really going on in Iraq with ISIS or information about cannabis, information about anything really important. No.
That gets swept under the rug. People will see that on the news and be like, oh, geez, they need to ban guns. Have you seen the selfie video? No, let's look it up and get more information on it.
Exactly.
News about Iraq. Obama needs to take care of that. Let's look up, the new song by Psy and Snoop Dogg.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. And it's already proven, if you do 5 minutes of research, all these artists, they're not even artists anymore. They run them through the box, auto-tunes and stuff. I mean, it's not even real talent or anything like that anymore. It's just, I remember when music was music, they played instruments and they actually sung.
Where's a good Barry Manilow concert when you need it?
Well, look at Bob Dylan. One of the reasons people liked Bob, or one of the attractions of Bob Dylan, was he didn't have, the pitch-perfect voice all the time.
Yeah, him and, was that Neil Young?
Yeah, but they were real. You could get behind that music. You could feel it because there's actually real emotion in it because it's really coming from him as opposed to coming, from auto-tunes and a friggin' box. Ugh. Music today is garbage, dude. I really don't listen to anything new. Most of the music I listen to is 10 years old, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. God, I feel like my mother when I was a kid, and I used to bust her balls about listening to the oldie station. She was like, one day your stuff will be on there too. And I was like, yeah. Fast forward like 15 years, I'm driving down the road one day, and I hear on the classic rock station, Guns N' Roses, "Welcome to the Jungle," and I was, what?
Yeah.
Classic rock? What are you talking about classic?
The classic rock station up here plays Nirvana. Wow.
I remember when they came out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
I know the guy's not with us anymore, but I don't think it's classic yet.
Yeah, like, damn, dude. Isn't classic like 40, 50 years at least? Ugh. Yeah.
I can't wait for the selfie song to be on classic rock.
Oh, my God, dude. You know, I've wondered about that. Do you think in like 15 or 20 years, when we're like in our 60s, you know, late 50s, early 60s, we're all going to be sitting around and like the 30-something generation is going to be listening to the quote-unquote classic rock stations, and it's going to be this crap? You know? They'll tune in. Let's listen to, well, we can't call it rock. Let's listen to the golden oldies pop station. Let's go back to 2014.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? Please, someone give me a gun.
That's it. I'm going down to the post office right now.
Seriously, like, what the hell, man? I don't. Wow. I honestly hope, all kidding aside, that this is one of the reasons I do what I do, because I'm trying to pull society out of this, because I don't want in 20 or 30 years the future generations to be like, really? This is what you gave us? Thank you. Thanks. Thanks for that. Thanks, guys. Just golf clap. Thank you for the Chainsmokers, the selfie song, and yeah, you're done.
The ratchet hose.
Oh my God. What is that word? What does that mean? I guess I'm getting old because I don't understand what that term means.
I think it's like the equivalent of like white trash.
Huh.
But I mean, like, I don't know how to describe it. I always complain, like my girlfriend calls people ratchets and stuff like that, and I get mad. I go, it's spelled wrong. That's a wrench.
Yeah, like the first time I heard it, someone said it, and I was like, I think it was actually in the video. It was the first time I heard it, and I was like, what the hell, ratchet? I'm trying to think how.
Basically, it's the hood, the hood pronunciation of wretched.
Oh, like ratchet.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That hoe was wretched, and that translated into ratchet. And you know the way society is right now, nobody can spell for the life of them.
Well, thank you, Twitter.
Into RATCHET.
Yeah, thank you, Twitter and text messaging. Turning society into a bunch of illiterate morons in 3.5, 4 years. Well, actually, no. Twitter's been around for what, like 5 years now, 6 years, something like that.
Yeah, but it's dying. I mean, I don't use it anymore. Johnny doesn't use it anymore.
Yeah, I only use it to spread. I've only ever used it to spread links for the radio show or anything I post on Federal Jack or anything. I don't really, I don't tweet conversations really with anybody. Once in a while I might respond to something, but yeah, I never really used it for that. I don't even know. I wonder what the new one will be. What's the new one? Instagram or Insta Facebook or Insta YouTube?
Fine.
Oh, that stupid video thing?
7-second videos.
Because we don't have enough time in the rest of the day for anything more than 7 seconds?
Yeah, 7 seconds. That's all you need. And there's people that get millions of views on 7 seconds.
Because that's all they have. That's all the person has to concentrate for.
Exactly.
Easy commitment.
Yep.
They can commit to 7 seconds. They can't commit to 5 minutes. That's too much. I actually heard someone say the reason that they like Vine videos is because they don't have time. They're too busy in their day. I ain't got time for anything longer than 7 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President. I didn't realize that you were solving the world's problems and that, you know, by tomorrow you'll have ended world hunger. Thank you. I'm glad that we'll make sure we get you the Nobel Peace Prize.
You should have made it 7 seconds.
Yeah,
Maybe that's an idea for you.
That was 8.5 seconds. Yeah, 7 second shows.
7 second like promotional videos for your show. Like while you guys were all asleep, here's what you're missing, and just boom, 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 and done. Put the link up and the video.
You'd have to basically just scream like the title of what you were going to talk about.
Mm-hmm. No, these people, they make these 7 second videos, and you can stop and record and stop and record, so you could like piece together a bunch of stuff and make it 7 seconds and use it to promote the show.
That's true. The
More
funny
people
one
might catch on then.
The funny one that I saw, the only funny one of those things the only one of those videos I thought was funny that I saw was the one where a guy made it his daughter's in the back. He's driving in a car, and she's got a milkshake, and she goes, "My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard." And he turns around and looks at her, and the next shot is him throwing the milkshake out the window, and then the next shot is just him driving away with a smile on his face.
I've seen that one.
Yes, that one's... Anybody that's got a daughter, any guy that's got a daughter, they could appreciate that and laugh. But like that's the only one that I thought was funny. But I don't want to. Part of me does not want to get on board with that stuff because I feel like I'm taking part in the dumbing down of society.
You've got the mark of the beast.
Like I refuse when I text message people. Like anybody that's ever texted with me knows I do not like. Maybe on like once in a while on Skype I might use K instead of OK or something. But if I'm doing something really fast someone's messaging me and I'm just like, yeah, bing, and I go back to doing what I was doing. But if I'm having a conversation, I do not type in like I don't type in you are or any of that stuff. Even text messages. If I text somebody, it looks like War and Peace when I'm done because I'm like, I type out the whole thing in full.
Chapter 2 of the text is coming in for Popeye right now.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, it'll be there in a second.
Yeah.
It's got the appendix coming along with it in case you need that. You know.
Yeah. There's an index too.
Well, I do that for a reason, you know. I don't want myself to be dumbed down, and I want anybody that interacts with me to at least have a full understanding of what I'm saying. Because texting and all that stuff already you lose a lot of, people can't sense sarcasm. They can't sense subtle tones in your voice, you know, to pick up if it's a joke or, you know, it's things get misinterpreted via text a lot more, right? So I try to spell it out as clear as I could possibly be, and you'd be surprised people still mistake things sometimes. So, but I also do it because I don't want to dumb myself down. I noticed that like when I was doing the shorthand stuff, every once in a while I would do it, and I could feel it making me stupid. Like I would end up using that more often. Like when I'd be typing up an article or typing up a description, and I would find myself using shorthand slang in it. And I was like, "Oh no! We got to stop right now." Because I'm
like that scene from Ace Ventura. You went in the bathroom and threw all your clothes in the tub and lit them on fire.
Yeah, exactly. I took all my clothes off, climbed in the tub with a plunger, and started plunging my face.
And cried, "It's happening! Oh no!"
Finkel and Einhorn. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. Einhorn's a man. Einhorn's a man. And they play cue the crying game music and Jim Carrey in the shower. Yes, that's what happened to me after I started dumbing myself down. And you'd be surprised, Nick. It happened so fast, dude. Literally, you breathe, you blink, and you're like, all of a sudden you look at what you're typing or whatever, and you're like, wow, did I actually type that? Like because whenever I type something out, I proofread it afterwards to make sure I didn't misspell anything or it sounds proper. And I'd be going through and I'm like, did I spell that like that? And I would go back and I at first I didn't know what was frustrating me more. Like the fact that at first I thought it was the fact that I had to go back and fix it and it was causing me more work, but that wasn't what was frustrating me. What I realized what was frustrating me was how fast, even though I'm smart and I know what's going on, how fast my brain was able to be programmed just by me doing it myself, using shorthand here and there, and I had reprogrammed myself. And I literally had to make the physical, push to not do it.
The way the phones are built nowadays, there should be no reason for anybody to do that shorthand stuff anymore. The QWERTY keyboard is extinct.
Yeah, that and,
That was the only reason people were doing that, because you had to sit there and hit the number 8, 2 or 3 times to get the letter you were looking for.
Exactly. And that and the fact that the phones are now like Galaxy Note 2s and things like that. And you don't have to hold the phone upright. You can hold the phone sideways, and the thing's full size keyboard for your thumbs. You can just sit there and type away with your 2 thumbs if you have to.
Yeah.
So, and again, technology, does dumb us down, but we have to physically make ourselves not do this stuff, dude. I mean, I don't think people realize to a certain extent that they're doing it. That's the beauty of the plan of the people that run things. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
The beauty of it is that they get us to literally stupefy ourselves. They get us to dumb ourselves.
With the shorthand texting and the selfie videos and.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, all kidding aside, the reason I rank on it. I mean, I know we joke about it a little bit, kind of. Like I said, we're doing it kind of in a lighthearted manner.
Yeah, it's fun to laugh at it.
But yeah, no, you're right. It's a problem. Like that, the selfie stuff, all of that stuff.
Going back to Jackass, kick me in the balls.
But yeah, exactly. It's dumbing us down, slowly but surely. And now, look at us now compared to 10 years ago. I mean, look, I know society's kind of been slow for a while, but dude, the past 10 years, 10, 12 years, have you noticed like it's been ramped up into fourth gear and the hammer's been dropped? At least that's what I see. I mean, I see more and more stupid people. I remember years ago saying this before I was even aware of what was going on. I remember saying to people, like in conversations, is it me or are people getting dumber?
It's all these kids graduating high school and every single one of them wants to go to college to be a physical therapist.
Yeah, because there's so many jobs in the healthcare field coming up because of Obamacare. Didn't you see the commercial on TV?
Oh, no. I have satellite TV. I turn it on maybe once a week.
It was right after the ITT Tech commercial.
Oh, and the Phoenix University. Yeah. You take the courses online and they'll bring a tour bus to your house and hand you your framed.
Yeah, exactly. Just go on YouTube and look up the College Conspiracy. It's actually a very interesting documentary. Again, banks making money behind the scenes because they're the ones that are actually, at the end of the day, doling out all the loans to these people that are going to school for positions that in many cases, say 100,000. Yeah, 100,000 people graduate from college to be, well, just, for argument's sake, a nurse. And there's 20,000 nursing positions, but 100,000 of them just graduated. Well, what do the other 80,000 do to pay back that loan when they get out? Oh, I guess that's a problem. Anyway, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back. 3 short minutes. Scattergories Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I am your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Hanging out with me tonight is the co-host of the Johnny English Show with Mr. Johnny English, Nick Dover. Nick.
Go ahead. I forgot to unmute. I was like...
I thought you were giving me the dramatic Johnny F.U. pause that he likes to give me once in a while because I do it to him. Thought you were taking a cue from Johnny. He's probably listening right now, snickering in his truck.
Shifting down the interstate.
Yes, driving, grinding gears. I don't grind gears. I'm a driver. I'm not a non-driver. I know how to drive trucks.
I'm not a non-driver. He's probably screaming at me right now because there's been a couple of times that I've kind of come back off the mic.
What are you doing? Your sound is horrible, Nick. You're probably going to get your critiqued later on tonight.
Yeah. You need to stay up on that mic because there's been a couple times where I've turned my head. That drives him nuts. He did it when he had Joni on a couple weeks ago. She'd get off the mic and he'd go, get up on the mic.
Man, he kills me. That's why I have a headset. Because I do the same thing you do. I'll turn my head. I talk with my hands. If I had a microphone in front of me, like I have it's a professional broadcaster's headset. It's nice. It's got an XLR plug and everything. But if I had a stationary desk-mounted mic, I'd be hitting that thing with my hands. I mean, if I had video going, you guys would see me. The Sicilian in me comes out because I start flipping my hands around when I talk. So,
snapping and throwing stuff in the air. Hey!
Exactly. Hey, what the F? I start just slinging stuff. Sometimes when I get going, and you can hear it in the background once in a while. I'll be doing something and I'll be moving my hands around and I'll nail something on my desk and knock it over, and you'll hear it in the background. And I just continue like it didn't happen. But yeah, that's why I don't have a.
Then you yell, "Forget about it."
Forget about it. My inner Jersey comes out.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Hey, give my cousin Johnny the Fist.
Johnny the Fist.
That's going to be Johnny's new name instead of Johnny English. We're going to call him Johnny the Fist.
Johnny the Fist. Yeah. They should have went with that right from the get-go. Johnny the Fist. It's a show about wrestling.
Oh, my God. Oh, you probably have more listeners. You'd probably have you'd have 350 million listeners. Screw the truth. I want to know what was going on in WWE today. That's more important.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's creepy about WWE? One of my he's a listener, truth seeker, researcher, we'll say. He's messaged me a couple times and he's like, "Hey, check this out," and he'll show me, like, he'll send me a clip from WWE and like whatever little thing that they're playing, little storyline, and I'll watch the clip, and dude, when you watch the clip, especially being awake, and knowing what's going on, I'm like, whoa. Like, there's lately, and I mean, I guess it was always like this, but it seems to be really more in your face now. But lately, there's just so much propaganda for like one world government, towing the party line, whatever the powers that shouldn't be want to put out there in the media. It's almost like they take the talking points and then model their WWE story off whatever talking points.
Really?
Dude, I'm not kidding. There's just a lot of, especially if you know anything about the occult and things like that. Like, if you go back, you're smart, you're awake. If you go back and you watch some of this stuff, like some of the stuff they've recently put out, you'll see it. I'm pretty sure you'll see it. Anybody that has the Hoffman sunglasses on, so to speak, will see it. And it's just another. It's literally just another example of the mind control, the brainwashing that's out there. Literally,
Johnny. After last week's show, he was telling me that he was watching TV for about 10 minutes, and he was all fired up about things that he saw and caught on some TV show he was watching. I forgot what it was, but it got him all upset, and flared up, and.
It's amazing, dude. I can't watch. That's why I don't have cable. Like I said, I refuse to pay for regular cable, but we have Hulu and stuff. So like once in a while, or Netflix. So once in a while, I might. I really don't watch that. I prefer the illegal streaming myself because I get everything. Like even the stuff that why have 15 different subscription services when I can just go to one website and I can get it all. I don't have to pay for it. Thank you. Love the internet. Anyway. Like once in a while I'll watch something, decompress or whatever, and it really never lets me decompress anymore, because now when I watch it, it's just like, it's so prevalent. It's right there in your face, man. It's just ridiculous. It's right in your face. No matter what TV show you're watching. There was an ABC has been putting out a bunch of shows this year. One of them was called Sleepy Hollow. Mm-hmm. It's about the legend of Sleepy Hollow. Right, Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman. Except the Headless Horseman in the show is actually one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. He's death, and and they mix. Let's see, they mix the Bible and like they'll say, I guess, mainstream Christian theology, or the story. The basics of the story about certain things, like perhaps like the end of the world. And Judgment Day and things like that. They mix that with the Revolutionary War and Freemasonry and the occult.
Wow. They just throw it all in there.
Like one of the main bad guys that runs everything, he's literally Baphomet. That's his name. And it's this horned demon creature.
Don't beat around the bush or anything. Just go right for it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what? Why beat around the bush? Let's just boom right there in your face, dude. It's ridiculous. And when they show it, it comes like in mirrors. This is even creepier, especially if you know anything about like the MK Ultra, the MK Ultra programming that they do with mirrors, and if you understand the idea of multiple dimensions, the mirror could also be a physical representation of the idea of a multiple dimension. But this thing, the Baphomet, they see it in mirrors and stuff. So like it'll come into the room via the mirror, and it's the way they portray it. It's like this horned humanoid creature with like the goat type head, but it's really, you can't see its face. It's all like, it's dark and it's got horns, and you could see what it is, but it's all blurry. And the way it moves is like it's moving very fast, and it's all like blur. It's just very creepy. But right. They were like, oh my God, it's Baphomet. And I was like, wait, what? Hold it. Rewind that. Did they just say
Pause.
That? Exactly. Thank God for the digital age. Just ridiculous. And I've tried to explain this to people that I know that have seen it. And like, what I did was, rather than try to, oh my God, look, I didn't say anything. I just let them watch the show, and then they would call me up or send me a message or whatever, or email me, or I'd see them, and they'd be like, dude, there's this show, and I'm like, let me guess, Sleepy Hollow or whatever. Yeah. And they'd be like, well, there's all this weird symbolism in it, and the stuff that you've talked about and other people have talked. Oh my God, it's right there in your face. I'm like, yeah. What do you think they're putting that in your face for? Don't get me wrong. I don't think that every Freemason is evil or bad. That's a misnomer. That's not the point. The point is they're taking the people that wrote it. Most of these scripts come out of Langley. But believe it or not, Langley, the CIA, actually does write scripts for TV shows and movies and stuff. A lot of people don't realize that, but they actually do. Like the X-Files. A lot of the scripts for the X-Files. Chris Carter admitted this. They were the CIA over the years handed them a lot of the scripts for the X-Files, or changed certain things. They would have, if it was something that was written by him, they screened it. The Lone Gunman episode, the pilot episode of the Lone Gunman, which was a spin-off of the X-Files, right?
Huh?
They had the four guys, the conspiracy theory guys, right? They had their own little TV show spin-off. It only lasted like 1 or 2 seasons. The pilot episode was them trying to stop a rogue bunch of people in the government hijacking an airplane and remotely flying it into the World Trade Center. And it aired 9 months before, or like 9 or 10 months before September 11th.
Holy crap. Wow, dude.
I couldn't make this up. I mean, people can go look it up. A lot of people know about this already, but you can go on YouTube and look it up. One of the guys that was in the show, he had long blonde hair and a pair of glasses. His name is Dean Hageland. He's been interviewed multiple times by multiple people, including Jones. And he said, yeah, Chris Carter was given the script for that pilot episode by the CIA. And they also had their hands involved in some of the scripts for some of the X-Files episodes. And Chris Carter has admitted it on his own, too, that, yes, the CIA was involved with the production of that show and with certain aspects of it. I mean, a lot of people say, well, they probably went to them for technical assistance and stuff. Really? I mean, you don't think there's a coincidence that the pilot episode of a TV show dealing with a bunch of conspiracy theorists happens to, the storyline happens to follow the idea that there's a rogue bunch of people inside the United States government, including the Central Intelligence Agency, that want to start, they need basically a fundraiser. And they can't get any more money from Congress for the military-industrial complex, and they want to start some excursions into other countries, and they can't. So the only way that they can get what they want and get the funding and stuff that they want is to stage an attack, and then say, "Oh my God, we need money to prevent."
We need to go
again. Exactly.
Wow, my mind's just been blown for the evening.
You didn't know that?
Uh-uh.
Wow, yeah, look it up. If you have, I'm sure you can probably still find the DVDs on Netflix. Probably on YouTube, the full episodes, but I know at least chunks of it are on YouTube. If you look up on Netflix, The Lone Gunman, you'll see it was a spin-off series from the X-Files, both created by Chris Carter. And yes, the pilot episode of the series was these guys trying to stop a rogue agency in the government, and they remotely hijacked the plane. They had put a device on board the plane that was wired into the plane's avionics, or the plane's computer itself, which controls all that stuff because it's all fly-by-wire now. and they were able to they didn't need to have a big pod or anything on the bottom of the plane. They literally had it inside the plane, and they were remotely controlling it from a different location, and the plane and the pilot had no control of it. The pilot, he's pushing down on the yoke, pulling back on it, wasn't doing anything. So they had completely locked the pilot out, and then whoever was remotely flying it was in control of it. And they literally aimed it at the World Trade Center, and at the last minute they were able to override it, and the pilot pulls up, and the plane just scrapes like the top of the antenna. It just like scrapes right by it, at the very last minute, like, ooh, we just made it by the skin of our teeth. And then like 9-10 months later, two very real passenger jets slam into the same building, and then both of those buildings turn into dust in their own collective little piles in their own little collective area, which you would have thought with all that mass, that would have been spread out over blocks and blocks and blocks. But no, it was just dust. But that's a coincidence, I'm sure, because that jet fuel fire always does that, and planes usually crash into buildings like that. And these
it brings the whole building down.
Yeah, because Al-Qaeda. It was just Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, be afraid,
terror.
ISIS. Yeah, terror, hide under your bed. Run, Nick, run.
What was the deal with them going in there a couple of weeks before? What were they were like installing like new generators or something in the...
Yeah, there's a lot of construction going on in there and painting and stuff. Willie Rodriguez was one of the... He's a janitor. He's the guy that... After he had escaped and gotten out, he had a master key, and he realized that a lot of the doors were locked. He went back into the building. He saved thousands of people's lives because he was unlocking the doors in the stairwells. So people were able to open the doors and get out and get to safety. If he hadn't done that, there would have been people trapped because the locks, and then there would have been more people dead. And he said, for weeks leading up, as others did too, that weeks leading up to the event of 9/11, that there were people going in and out of the building. There was a lot of construction going on. So could they have painted explosives into the wall? I mean, yes, there are things like that.
Yeah, painted thermite.
Yeah, and I don't think it was just one thing. I think it was a combination of a bunch of stuff. I think it was probably thermite to cut the beams, and obviously there was probably a decent amount of it used to cut the beams. But if anything, I think it was probably a combination of thermite, some conventional explosives, and perhaps something that we don't even know about. I mean, there's things like the barometric bomb that that was worked on back, I'll say, in the late 90s, and nobody wants to talk about it. Look up a guy named Michael Riconosciuto. I think he's still in jail if he's still alive.
I can spell that.
Yeah, I know. Well, try to sound that one out, ladies and gentlemen.
Clap it together. Reconnaissance.
Yeah, exactly. There's a movie called Murder in the Heartland about the Oklahoma City bombing, and it's an old documentary from like the 90s, but it's on YouTube. I know because I've put it up. I was one of the original uploaders of it to the internet years ago. A lot of these videos were on VHS; they were never on the internet. So years ago, when Google Video still existed, one of my programs I actually still have, I digitized a lot of these movies and then started uploading them to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And that's one of them. It's still up there to Google Video, and it's on YouTube too. It's called Murder in the Heartland. But if you watch it, it's a really good documentary about the Oklahoma City bombing. It's it's older. It's from like the late 80s. So you could see it was originally made on like a VHS tape. But in it, they interview it's Ted Gunderson, and this other guy, Pat, and I can't remember his last name right now. Actually, I think Pat's dead now that I think about it because he was older. But Gunderson and this guy, Pat, go to this prison to interview this guy, Michael Riconosciuto. Long story short, Riconosciuto worked, he was an engineer, and the guy worked for the CIA. He had his own little lab, and he was working, I guess, at the behest of them, contracted out, whatever. And he was working on something called a barometric bomb. And basically, what he said he was working on, the barometric bomb that he was working on it was like a canister, and it would release gas. And this gas was heavier than regular air, so it wouldn't just float away. And it would kind of like hover around, like say you wanted to take out a pillar, a support column, you'd put one of these canisters next to it, it would release the gas, and the gas would come up and form like a cloud around the column, and then at the whatever correct time, however they timed it, there was a triggering mechanism inside the thing that would, either it was a spark or whatever it was that would cause a chain reaction with the gas, and cause it to explode. But because the gas was, instead of being on like one side, the gas enveloped the whole column. Or, you know, if you're going to, we'll say in this instance, we're going to take a column down, the gas would envelop the whole thing all around, you know, not just on one side, but all sides. And when it exploded, you would now have not just the explosive force, the brisance, you wouldn't have it on one side, you'd have it all the way around, and it would literally shatter it. Just boom. And that's what he was, Reconnaissado was working on, this barometric bomb that he called it. And he said that, long story short, his workplace, whatever you want to call it, lab got broken into, and the bomb was stolen. And he reported it and everything. He reported it to the CIA. And then 6 or 8 months later, out of nowhere, you know, in the middle of whenever, he has this raid on his house. You know, they raid his house looking for drugs, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And they raid his laboratory, whatever, his shop, whatever you want to call it, looking for drugs, and they find like a kilo of cocaine or whatever it was stashed, you know, and they knew he said they knew exactly where to go look for it. Like, they went right to the spot and was like, well, look what we found. So
imagine that.
Yeah, he figures that when the bomb was stolen and his designs and all his work was stolen, that they planted that there for future use, whatever. And that's what they do. I mean, they do. I mean, hey, come on. Oh, I'm going to go right here and let's check by the refrigerator for, a kilo of Coke. Nick, what is this?
Looky here. Oh, there's videos online. I watched a video earlier this year. An undercover cop went into a head shop and was talking to the owner and pointed at something behind him on a shelf, and he turned to, you know, grab it, and you can see the shop owner's security cam footage. When he turns around to grab the item off the shelf, the undercover cop just throws cocaine up on the counter. And when he turns back around, they talk for a little bit longer. Than the undercover cop goes, "Oh, what's this?"
Yeah, because they don't plant drugs.
No. And I mean, he was caught red-handed, and the guy got off. You know, everything was dropped, and the cop probably just got fired or whatever.
Probably didn't even get fired. Cop probably got reprimanded and sent back out to do the same thing again. Because
got a little spanking on his hand.
It's the war on drugs, Nick. If we do not handle the war on drugs and prosecute it, you know, with extreme prejudice, and we don't shoot people for smoking joints, you know, we'll have total anarchy. So, you know, I say life in prison for smoking a joint, and anything else, you get the death penalty. I mean, if you do anything else higher than, or more hardcore than marijuana, although from what I understand, marijuana is way more addictive than heroin and cocaine, and causes deaths all the time. Yeah, I was talking to the DEA administrator the other day, and she just, you know, she was telling me all this horrible stuff about it.
She sat you down?
Yeah, she sat me down, and she told me the truth. So I'm now anti. It's not cannabis. Why do they call it? It's pot.
More worse than drunk driving.
Yeah, ugh. I can't even like actually continue with the sarcasm. Just because it's, I can't. You know, they asked her. You ever see the videos of them asking her about cannabis? The head of the DA, and she's like, you know, like, why is it? Why
she
is
locks
it?
Up.
Yeah, why is it as bad as heroin? And then she just keeps reading the same, like, one line that they give her on the piece of paper. Just one.
Why is it as bad as heroin? Well, you know, because.
Exactly.
That's it, just because.
Exactly. That's pretty much like, he's like, give me the reason why. And she's like, well, because it's as dangerous as heroin and it can kill people. And he's like, but there's no proof of that. Like, show me. He's like, show me the proof. Show me evidence. Show me this. Show me that. And she's like, well, you know, but she looks back down and you can see she's like got like this one. It's like a blank piece of paper with one talking point on it. That they don't even let her say anything else. Just say this. Any questions asked, this is what you answer to it. You know, and then they waste, you know, the time is wasted during the hearing and all this other stuff, and people get pissed off and they walk out and nothing's ever accomplished. And then there are still innocent people going to jail every day for it, and there are still sick people being, you know, not being able to heal themselves. Look, your place where you guys live in Iowa is a perfect example. There are plenty of people in Iowa that could benefit from medical cannabis, yet you guys are, I mean, I know that there's a constant push for it, but it's not as easy in Iowa as it is in other states to convince people that there really is a necessity for this. I shouldn't say convince people. I should say convince the scumbags run things over there.
Yeah, out there in Des Moines. I think it's up here in Iowa. There's a guy on trial right now that might die before he actually gets through the trial.
Benton McKenzie.
Yeah.
Yep, I know him. I interviewed him. I actually have to play the interview, but we ended up chatting for almost 4 hours, so I think I'm going to have to do it like a two-parter. I've been working on it behind the scenes. I interviewed him about 3 weeks ago. Him and his wife, Loretta, are actually listeners to the broadcast. Really good people. And there's an article out there I reposted on Federal Jack, and it's Benton saying, "What if I die before I even make it to trial, or the trial's over?" Because he uses cannabis. They told him he was going to die like 6 or 7 years ago. I have to go back and listen to it again, but you'll hear it when I play it. But he was supposed to die like the doctors told him, "You're going to die." 6-7 years ago they told him that he was going to die. And yeah, he's still here to this day because he juices raw cannabis. Like, he juices the whole plant, everything. He juices it. Oh. Yeah, he doesn't smoke it. He ingests it. And they still want to put, "You're a criminal. You're just trying to get high, you dirty, dirty drug addict." And it's the only thing keeping him alive. And, I don't understand what these, there has to be, yes, okay, 10 years ago there was a level of ignorance, but in today's day and age, it's willful ignorance. I don't understand how these, I do understand because the court system is crap, and I know the judicial system and all that stuff. I know the law society, but I shouldn't say I don't understand. It's just frustrating because, they're not allowed to use the evidence that he juices with the cannabis for his health and for his health condition. They're not allowed to use this stuff as evidence for their defense in court. How are you not allowed to use why you use the cannabis as your defense?
If this was in California, this wouldn't be an issue right now, would it?
Probably not.
Jeez.
But because of a stupid border,
because Iowa's decades behind.
Well, it's like that in other states too. Look at Texas too. They want to put that kid in jail for life for selling hash brownies.
Wow.
Yeah, there's rapists and murderers out there, killers. Don't worry about them. Let's put this kid in jail for life because he made hash brownies. And their excuse is, hash is more powerful than regular. In their eyes, they called it marijuana cannabis, but they'll say hash is more powerful than regular cannabis. It comes from, and they didn't even know where it comes from. I forget exactly the description that they came up with for it and the reasoning. But does anybody even know how hash is made? It comes from cannabis. Okay, go watch a movie called Hashish. It'll give you they go up into up into Morocco, and you see these guys making hash, and you see how it's made. And the funny part is the guy's got he's got a couple bags, and he's got this bag of really dark stuff, and he's like, "Yes, this is the stuff that we sell to the West." He goes, "The stuff that you guys call Moroccan hash." He goes, "That you guys love and think it's great." He goes, "That's the crap." He has a little bag that he keeps for himself, and it's like this reddish brown clay looking hash, and it's almost like Keith, like dusty, and he's like, "This is the good stuff. This is mine." Go watch the movie Hashish. You'll see how hash is made. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. We're gonna switch gears in a second, but I wanna stay on the topic of cannabis just for 1 second and hash here.
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting because I've never really dabbled in any of this before.
Interesting stuff, I'm telling you. Go watch the movie Hashish, dude. You'll get the chance to see how it's actually made.
Yeah, my ears are standing up like a German Shepherd right now. This is all just...
I didn't know you didn't know the thing about the Lone Gunman series. I'll find the video on YouTube, and I'll send you a link, and see what I can find. See if I can find the whole episode for you. So you can watch it when you get off air. It'll blow your mind, definitely. The hash thing, people need to go watch Hashish to understand, what it is, where it comes from. So it's so stupid that these cops are trying to, and that it's the prosecutors and everybody, the kid needs to be in jail. Hash is much more dangerous. Shut up. just stop. Hash comes from cannabis. It's not heroin. It's not cocaine. It's
not mixed up.
Yeah, it's like compressed keef, pretty much. That's pretty much how they make it. They take the cannabis plants and they throw them in. It's like two pieces. Well, it's like a burlap. Maybe it wasn't burlap, but it looked like kind of like burlap. But it was like a loose type of material like that, where stuff could fall through the spaces between the fibers. And it was like a blanket, and they loaded the plants into it, and then folded the top, just folded it over once so that they were covered. And then they sit there with this. Two guys hold it, and one guy sits there and beats it with a stick. And as he's beating it with the stick, there you see, dude, I mean, it's like raining keef. It's ridiculous. And then all that stuff that they knock off, that's what they scrape up and scoop up and form into the hash. And that's what they make the bricks of hash out of. It's like, it's pretty much like just pure THC. And, cannabidiol and everything else that's in there. It's just, all the goodies that you could possibly want are right there. So how you just want to lick it and eat it and smoke it and cook with it and do all sorts of goody stuff with it. But it's funny.
The guys over there, they could probably, sit and smoke that for a while, then get up and, run a marathon. But like you give that to like the Americans and they're probably like paralyzed, like they're in an opium den then.
Dude, even these guys, like if you watch the movie Hashish, it's funny because like I said, the guy is like, this is the stuff that we give to you guys. And he laughs. He's like, this isn't the powerful stuff. He's like, you think this is good. He's like, this isn't the best. And then he goes over and he's got a same size bag, but it's his. And he's like, this is the best. This is mine.
He's got the moonshine.
Yeah, dude, basically he's got like the most powerful stuff. And he takes whatever it was, looked like a blunt or whatever, joint paper, but whatever, almost looked like a tobacco leaf, and which is what I think it was. And he rolls like, a blunt of this hash, but it's like, it's not the type of hash, like it's not thick, like molassesy type hash. It's the powdery, like keef. If anybody that's ever smoked cannabis knows what keef is, if you have a keef collector and you have a screen on a grinder, the stuff that collects in the little portion underneath, it looks like sugar crystals, that's keef. That's what you make hash out of. Well, he has it like, the stuff he had was like still kind of loose. And it's a little cakey, but it's not like hashy hash, like the brick hash that they would wrap up. This stuff was still powdery. And he rolls up a blunt, and dude, I'm telling you, each of them only took a couple hits, maybe 4 or 5 hits, and they were wrecked. They were just on cloud 9. There was like probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them easily. And they were all just passing this thing around, and it was just, it comes from the cannabis plant. It doesn't, it's not going to kill you, and hash is much more stronger and can cause all sorts of problems. No, it can't. I mean, you're out of your mind. You don't know what you're talking about. Yes, is there a possibility of perhaps intaking too much at once? Maybe. I don't. The body, the way it works with THC, it actually it's impossible for you to OD on it. But yes, I have. I mean, I have seen people, and I have even witnessed myself using cannabis before in the past, that you can perhaps like take too big of a hit, or now they have this thing called dabbing, where it's pretty much like hash oil, but when they smoke it, part of the extraction process is they use butane, and they usually burn it off. But
so you could blow up.
Yeah, but when they extract it, they use the butane and whatever, and then they burn off they supposedly burn off all the solvents or the chemicals that they use to extract it, and then what you have left is this waxy substance, which then you smoke. But when that's like pure THC. But the problem I don't like about that stuff is it's got that uses the chemical to extract it, and I just don't think they ever get it all out, because people I know that have done what they call dabbing, they've told me, look, if you take too big of a hit, or even if you take like 2 hits, one hit will usually do you fine. Even if you take like 2 hits, it kind of gives you like a racy anxiety type feeling. And I mean, I guess some people have had that with cannabis, but I don't really think that's the cannabis. I think it's the chemicals, the solvents that they're using to pull it out. So I don't want to label, the cannabis itself bad, It's really more so how the humans that are trying to ingest it are extracting it from the plant material. I think there's better ways to do it. I mean, if you're going to extract it, you should try. If you're going to use like, an alcohol-based solvent to extract it and make cannabis oil from the plant, use Everclear.
Yeah.
It's alcohol. At least, I mean, at least you're not. But it's, I mean, I know it's harsh. I know you can run your car on it if you needed to, but I mean, people drink it. I would rather use that than use like ethanol or something else.
We ran a moped for 45 minutes on Everclear once.
Did the engine explode when you guys were done?
Yeah, right around the 45-minute mark, it blew up.
Yep, it'll do that because it burns really hot.
Yeah,
and it's not good. I mean, if you were out in the middle of the desert and it was like you're gonna die if you don't get to the nearest place to get some water and you ran out of gas and you have a bottle of Everclear, pour that bitch in your tank. You know what I'm saying? And go. But I wouldn't suggest using it for for everyday fuel because it'll definitely cause a knock. it'll cause a little bit of an engine knock.
Just got a little knock. It's all right.
As the rod and the piston come flying through the hood. Oh,
yeah.
Oops. That'll land sometime.
That's aftermarket right there.
When I was a diesel mechanic, we did that. You're constantly, when you're in diesel tech school, you're rebuilding engines that had been there for 20 years. And we were rebuilding these old V blocks. And there was a lot of parts and gaskets that were missing. And long story short, if a diesel engine runs differently than a gasoline engine, if a diesel engine starts to suck in oil, you get what's called a runaway. And there's no stop. There's only one way to stop it. Spray a fire extinguisher, a CO2 fire extinguisher, into the air intake because it displaces the oxygen and it chokes the whole process out. Without oxygen, you still can't have combustion. You still need to have the oxygen there. So, you choke out the oxygen, you take out one of the essential ingredients. But I've seen engines that are so, like, it gets to a point, there comes a point where even the extinguisher won't do it because it's runaway and because it'll burn, it'll run off the oil that's leaking into the firing chamber. And it'll just sit there and burn off. We watched one do it. The kid had a bad seal on it. I saw it, and we were sitting there watching it, and the blower is sitting on top, and there's this puddle of oil around the blower. And I went, there's a puddle of oil around the blower, and the kid standing next to me goes, yeah, and I think the gasket looks cracked because there was like a half-an-inch gap in this one piece of the gasket because we were just using old whatever. They didn't give us new stuff, so we had to use all the old crap. And
it's all brittle and hard.
Yeah, dude, you instantly see, like, within like 2 or 3 seconds after the two of us said this whole puddle of oil just goes and disappeared into the blower. And I was like, oh, no. And then the thing just took over. And we backed up because we were spraying it with extinguishers. And it would not kill it, would not knock it out. Everybody backed up. When the thing blew, it launched the piston. We were in the back of the school. It launched the piston across the back parking lot, over the roof of the school, and it landed in the front parking lot in someone's car.
Wow.
Like a missile, dude. We looked at the teacher, we were like, so does that mean he failed?
Did he fail, and does he have to pay for all that?
And they couldn't really bitch at him because it was their fault because they gave us all this old school garbage to work with. So it was totally their fault. Interesting to say the least. You hear one of those things, dude, it literally sounded like a bomb went off, and the thing, the only way to describe it is it detonated. It was like, boom! And when it comes off, I mean, it goes right through. You got to remember, there's heads on top of it.
Yeah.
So it went through, it blew a hole right through it. Ridiculous. Yeah,
Can that happen in a diesel vehicle going down the road?
A runaway, yeah.
And what, it just rockets up to top speed before it blows up?
Well, I mean, now there's the modern technology and computers and stuff, and everything. There's a lot of safety devices and everything. But I mean, technically, you could get a runaway. Could you stop it? I mean, yeah, you could yank the truck out of gear and put the brakes on, or pull the air brake switch and dump all the air in and just let the brakes lock up. But the engine itself could theoretically still, like, even if you put the truck in neutral. Say Johnny was driving right now and his truck something happened. It was an older motor, and this happened, and you got to run away. I mean, you have other factors like the engines. You know, in the school and in a shop, the engines are usually sitting on like a mount, and there's nothing attached to the flywheel. So if it starts going away, it's just at least you have a trans attached to it that you could try to maybe drop it in a gear if you wanted to or whatnot, let it move slowly. Or like I said, if you wanted to be safe, you could always put it neutral, put the brake on, and then just if the engine was going to go, just let it go. If I was a trucker over the road, I would carry a CO2 extinguisher. Well, I'd already have an extinguisher in the truck, but I would carry a separate CO2 extinguisher just in case that ever happened. You pop the hood, run up to the air intake, and just unload the whole CO2 extinguisher into the air intake and hope that you got to it in enough time that it'll kill it. Because if you could choke the air out and it shuts it off, it's it, done. And once it's off, then you call the tow truck.
Yeah.
You ever hear a diesel engine just stop?
Is that what it does? Yeah.
Yeah, well, little louder than that. I'm
going to stop, but first, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. I'm gonna seize up, but first, let me take a selfie. Yeah. We have about 15, no, not even 15 minutes left. We have about 13 and a half minutes left. Wow, this night went by fast, Nick.
Yeah.
Making fun of the selfies and society and talking about motorcycles. I needed
Scattergories covered everything except the original topic we came here for.
Yes, the original topic, which we are actually going to cover tonight. We were going to put more time into it. I guess we could do it. Well, we could do it again, but we still have a decent amount of time. Nick is a real paranormal investigator.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, he goes and investigates real paranormal stuff. So, like, I know we have a short period of time left, but real deal, all honesty, do you believe that there are such things as ghost spirits, whatever, haunting certain areas, certain buildings, places?
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that places have the power to be haunted. I mean, if the situation is right and everything's in line, you can have a haunting. A lot of the times, the houses and stuff that we've gone to investigate, we get a couple EVPs. It's an electronic voice phenomenon. That's where you go in and you set a recorder and just record the atmosphere of the room that you're in. And a lot of the times you can get questionable recordings, voices that come across the recordings. I've got my name said on the recordings a couple times. Oh, that was probably loud. Sorry. I've got Nick. Please help us. Help us, Nick. I mean, it's interesting for sure. I'm not a demon hunter. I'm not an exorcist. The best way I can describe myself as a paranormal investigator is kind of like Jesse Ventura's character in Predator. I just have all these tools that I go in there and set out and use them to gauge the presence of a ghost.
I myself have done a little bit of ghost hunting. Over the years, I've explored real haunted places. One of the places down here in Florida I explored is the most haunted places. It's got the title of the most haunted place in Florida, like as a single one spot, not like a town. It's called the Deering Estate. It's down in South Miami, and I got to say that the 2 nights that I spent there on 2 separate occasions, there is some weird stuff going on in that place. Unexplainable, just things that normal. And I'm a real rational, logical guy, and right. There's just things that. Sorry, regular logic and science don't explain unless you're willing to accept that there could be, other alternative, answers to it. And I mean, I've heard EVPs myself, and it's not like I guess people think because they watch these ghost hunting shows that anytime you go into a place you're going to hear an EVP, and that's not true. We've done EVP sessions where we didn't hear anything, and then we did EVP sessions where we heard a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to comment as you were saying that is there's been some places where I've gone where I've got nothing, and there's been some places where I've like got a whole season of ghost hunters worth of EVPs in one night in 4 hours. It's just
and it's really creepy. There's this thing. It's called, what do they call it? The spirit box.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah,
I fire it up right now for you.
So we had one on the on the table, and we were sitting.
It's kind of loud.
That's it.
Oh, I better turn it off before Johnny finds out his house is haunted.
Yeah, right. That would be bad.
This thing is a radio that skips through every radio station on the frequency at a millisecond a station. And the theory behind that is spirits or ghosts, paranormal, they can use that energy to speak through the radio. I don't know the exact definition of how it works, but I've gotten a lot of weird stuff on that too. I took it to work one night, and we were down. I was the only guy there. I was just there to watch the hydraulics. And I was like, the hell with it. I'm going to do some ghost hunting down here because my plant's over 100 years old. And I was down there, and the electrician drove by, and I had the spirit box going. And I said, oh, there's, Steve. And a voice come across it. I got the recordings. I'll put it up on YouTube. I didn't get a chance to get any of them up. But the voice comes across it. It says, well, let's get back to work. I was like, wow.
I'm telling you, I had seen them before. I'd heard of them before, but I'd never actually used one. And we were at last time I was at the Deering Estate. There's this one section, one of the buildings in the property is the most haunted building, and it's the building that I saw something in the last time. I saw a shadow entity, whatever you want to call it, figure. And I asked one of the guys, because they have a couple people that'll go with you. It's a paranormal investigative agency that'll go with you, but they don't tell you anything. Like if you go in there, they try to let you see what you pick up on yourself. And I asked him afterward.
That's the best thing to do.
Well, that's what I said. Is there a female entity upstairs walking along the hallway? And he was like, yeah, she killed herself up there. He was like, did you see her? And I said, yep. She was walking along the hallway for like 10 minutes. I could see her. She kept walking. Like you could see her. It was hard because the lights were, there's no lights in the place. The lights were off, but you could see the moonlight coming in. It illuminated the hallway, and you could see the shadow. Like it was literally the silhouette of a person walking up and down the hallway. And I kept telling everybody else that was in the room I could see her, and only one other person said that they could see it, but everybody was, a lot of people were talking and they wouldn't shut up. But that's why usually when I go on these things, I end up going off by myself, and that's usually when I end up getting the best experiences because you're just quiet and you're just listening and you're just trying to pay attention, and. I know this is going to sound odd to some people, but when you do this stuff, you also have to be respectful. If there really is spirits or ghosts or whatever, you do want to be somewhat respectful of them, and they're not going to try to reach out or contact you if you're running around acting like a bunch of morons.
And that's the way I do my, I guess you could call it my investigative style, is I go in and actually act like I'm talking to a group of people that are there. I go in, hello, my name's Nick. I come from Davenport, Iowa. I was told that it's, it'd be worth my while to come up here and talk to you guys. And so I've traveled X amount of miles to hear what you guys have to say. I want to hear your story.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, this isn't hyperbole for the listeners or anything. Like I've come on air and I've talked about this before after I've done them. If I did a little excursion or a little ghost hunting, and there's some creepy stuff. There's really some unexplained stuff. I mean, creepy, I guess, is the only way to put it because it does once in a while send a chill up your spine. But when we used a spirit box, we were sitting in this house on the property that was the most haunted spot. And in fact, the second time we went there, when we were walking up to go to the main building, I looked over at this cottage, and when I looked over, I could see a female in the window. And I didn't say anything, and the person standing next to me went, "Holy crap, who is that in the window?" And I was like, okay, I'm not the only person that saw it, and I just let it go, and I didn't say anything. So later on that night, we were in the cottage, and the top portion of the cottage, during the day, they use it as offices. And they'll tell you that during the day, during the routine daily, the people that work there during the day, they know it's haunted. They've come to like live with whatever is there, but
they deal with it like people dealing with turbulence on an airplane. Yeah, we dropped. Oh well.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what they do. It's they've become very complacent about it. They said once in a while something weird will happen though. That kind of will still send shivers up their spine here or there, but they've become quite comfortable that they know that there's something there. And we were up in the office area where it's the most haunted, and it was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we were using the spirit box. And this thing started talking. What we got out of it was it was a Spanish speaking voice. And one of the guys, two of the guys that were in the room with us were cops. They were Miami-Dade cops, but they were into this. And they were the ones that, one of them was the one that brought the box. So they were letting the box play, and both of them were Spanish. So we're sitting there, and we needed a translator. So the two of them, and we had one other person in the room that spoke Spanish. So the three of them were and the third one wasn't with them. So we would go to them, the third person, to make sure that they weren't just making anything up. And she was like, no, they're on point. The voice that was coming over the spirit box was talking about a plane crash, and there being a plane crash on the property, and we're all like, a plane crash on the property? The property is huge. It not only is it buildings, but it encompasses a huge portion of land, including an Indian burial mound, which dates back like 10,000 years. You wonder why there's things on the property, right? But this voice kept telling us in Spanish that there was a crash on the property. So when you're doing these sessions, there's either somebody from the paranormal group or like a representative to keep an eye on you, somebody that from the people that keep an eye on the house itself. And he was sitting there in the room with us, and he was all quiet, and you could see he was like pale white. And we're like, what's up? And he's like, okay, I know I didn't tell you guys this at all, so you couldn't have known this. He's like, but back in the 80s, during the Cocaine Cowboys heyday down here in Miami, there was a drug plane that was trafficking drugs in, or they think it was trafficking drugs in, because there was a plane crashed on the property, and they never found the bodies of the people that were in it. There was blood and stuff, but they never found the bodies, and they never found there was containers in there, and all the cargo containers were empty. So whoever was coming to retrieve said property took the bodies of the pilot and the crew that was in the plane along with whatever was in there. So they assume it was drugs, but they did find a plane on the property, a plane crash. But none of us knew this, and it actually isn't common knowledge amongst people here in Miami. You'd actually have to do a lot of digging to find out. So we didn't know any of this. And it was giving, and the guy was just, he had seen stuff here and there, but he was like, that this was the first time he'd ever seen one of these things operating. And he's like, nobody could have known that. He's like, it's just, maybe the cops could have if they had done some research on it, but how could they have programmed it? It wasn't like it was a digital recorder or something and they made that up and inserted that. You know what I mean? It was literally scanning the stations backwards, through the frequencies, like you said. And that's when it picked up this stuff. So look, I never like to say, I 100% definitively know for everything, for sure, because every time you say that, something new comes along the pike and changes it just a little bit. But I can say that without a shadow of a doubt, I did experience some really, really creepy stuff. So, yeah, I don't blame you for wanting to get into the paranormal and chase it and run around and go investigate. When I was a kid, I used to go investigate like empty monasteries and stuff. We actually, my older brother and a bunch of his friends stumbled upon a group of individuals in robes and hoods sacrificing an animal in the middle of a ceremony, and they got chased inside of an abandoned building. Oh yeah, ghost hunting and abandoned building hunting was always fun in North Jersey, let me tell you.
Is that how you met the Mothman too?
Yeah, me and the Mothman were hanging out having beers.
At the TNT factory?
Yeah, that's another creepy thing right there. The paranormal is an interesting thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's actually what got me into the realm of conspiracy. Everybody can thank my my keen intellect with conspiracy and my analysis on my. You can thank my mother for it, because she got me a book about the paranormal when I was a young kid, and it had a little chapter about conspiracy, and that's what opened the door for me. Nick, we're out of time, dude. The entire 2 hours just flew right by. We're gonna have to get you on Hangar. Are you free on Saturdays? We're gonna have to get you on Hangar 18.
The last couple Saturdays, I've caught the tail end of the show.
We're going to have to make Nick come on Hangar 18, ladies and gentlemen, so you can hear him uncensored. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a blast. Scattergory Fridays will continue, I promise. We all needed to blow some steam off. I'll catch you all again live on Tuesday. I love you all. We are out of here.